Yeah, that makes things easy. Okay, so the most exciting chapter. Now we come into chapter 4, the karmic consequences of living beings, of Jambudava chapter. So this is chapter 4. Just to remind everybody what is karmic, it basically means the cause and the effect. And the Jambudava is the places that we live in. Okay. Basically, in this chapter, we are talking about the potential cause and effect that will happen in this world. So I hope everybody will pay close attention because this is really helpful for everybody, for everybody's well-being. Now, starting from the word from Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. What honored one, it is through the power of awesome spiritual penetration of the Buddha, Tathagata, that I transform into emanation forms throughout hundreds of thousands of myriads of millions of words to rescue all beings who undergo the rippling effect of karma. If it were not of the power of the Tathagata great kindness, I would not be able to perform such transformations. Now I have further been entrusted by the Buddha to guide all beings in the 6 realms of existence. So 6 realms is, as we've mentioned before, it's including the heaven, the human, and the Ashura, like those beings are aiming for fighting all the time, and the animals and the hungry ghost. Finally, people in the hell. So these are 6 realms of existence across to liberation until Ajita or Maitreya Bodhisattva. Ajita is the name that Maitreya Bodhisattva, when he still was a Bodhisattva at the time, presented before the Shakyamuni Buddha, becomes a Buddha. So people will not be afraid because Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva will still be here to help people to go across to a liberation. And I will do so, what honored one. Please do not concern. So yes, we will not concern. And all beings who have not yet attained liberation are without 50 in their nature and consciousness. So through evil habits, they form unwholesome karma. So just to remind everybody, unwholesome karma is the same word as evil habit. So revolving well like through the 5 realms of existence. Now it comes back to 5 realms. So sometimes Buddha talking about the realms without talking about asuras, because asura is kind of like the angriness between all those different kind of beings. So if you see 5 realms or 6 realms, you know the only thing different is the Buddha will get rid of asuras sometimes. So with never a monastery rest, so momentarily, sorry, momentarily rest. So they will not be resting because of the continuous transformation, like through different kind of forms of those 5 realms. So they pass through karmas as numerous as dust particles, like confused and hindered and afflicted with difficulties, and they are like a fish, like swim in the net while following a long flowing current. Now and then, like it would get free temporarily, but they will get caught into nets again because there are many much complicated nets over there. So I would think with that in concern about these beings. But however, because Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has that great vow and the Bodhisattva is powerful, so the Buddha is saying, okay, what further causes shall I worry? So it is fine because we have Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva there. Now another Bodhisattva coming, and it is called Concentration Mastery King Bodhisattva. Said, what vows has Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva made during this many past kalpas? So he now received like praise from like a vast amount of praises from the word honored one. So please tell us why this is the case. Why is this so? The word honored one. The Buddha said, okay, so just to repeat the question is, What kind of vows? Because Ksitigarbha is pretty well known for the vows that he's making. The most famous quote is, "If the hell is not empty, I will not become the Buddha." That's one of the most famous vows from the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. And now the concentration mastery king Bodhisattva is trying to ask for all the vows that are making Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva that powerful, that wisdom, that wisdomful, and all of that kind of things. So the Buddha is saying, listen attentively, listen attentively. When we see this kind of quotes, like Buddha is asking people to listen carefully, it is the time we need to pay attention and to think. So ponder and reminder this well, right? I will explain them separately for you. Now starting the story. At the time, immeasurable asamgyas of Nayuta, Ayuta is a long time period, as we've mentioned before, of inexpressible kalpas ago. Kalpa is 20 million years, just to remind everybody. There was a Buddha named All Wisdom Accomplished Tathagata. All Wisdom Accomplished Tathagata. So the lifespan of that Buddha was 60,000 kalpas. It's a long time, 60,000 kalpas. And at the time, before the, so he was the king of the small country. And before he renounced like the household life, or now we call the lay person, he's not a lay person anymore. His friend, there's a neighbor, so there's another king of the neighboring country. They both practice the 10 wholesome actions. So to remind everybody, what is 10 wholesome actions? Is no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduction, and no forceful speech, and no harmful speech or aggressive speech, and not trying to do the divisive speech, or like saying one thing to another person and speak of the bad things about that person again. That's kind of divisive speech, and not make the speech too like exaggerated. That's the seventh one. And eighth one is not being greedy, and ninth one is not being angry, and the final one is trust the Buddha, don't say anything bad about the Buddha, or in another word, don't being silly. So that's the 10 wholesome, unwholesome actions. So if you do the opposite of them, is the 10 wholesome actions. It is pretty straightforward. If you do 10 of them, you will become the king, the small king, as it discussed later on in this chapter. Not this chapter, probably later on in this book. We will talk about them later, just to refresh everybody's mind for now. And however, in the neighboring countries, most people did many evil acts. As we've mentioned before, those 10 unwholesome actions are called evil acts sometimes. So people conduct them, and it will causing the entire country to become disturbance and fighting all the time, the wars all the time, and economics is not going well. All those kind of things are happening. So the two kings now they're trying to discuss and plan what kind of thing they can employ to help their country. So there are many skillful meanings they are discussing and thinking about, causing them to like get rid of all those evil actions or unwholesome karmas of their entire country. And one of them saying, I will attain the Buddhahood early and guide all these people across without exception. And another king says, if I do not first guide all wrongdoing, suffering beings across, causing them to attain peace and happiness, to enable them to achieve Bodhi or to become the Buddha, I should not become a Buddha. So this is the king that we are talking about initially. So the king who vowed to become a Buddha early is all wisdom accomplished Tathagata. And the king who vowed to always guide wrongdoing suffering beings across to liberation, and after that he will become the Buddha, is, as we've known, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. And moreover, so this is the first story, just to refresh everybody's mind. In this case, if you have that vow to help other beings to become the Buddha first, you will definitely engaging in a great accumulation of those like good deed, and you will be praised by the Buddha. That's the eventual question that the Bodhisattva is asking, like about the vows, just to remind everybody that's the question that the Buddha is trying to answer. And the second story that we are going to talk about is it's like later on, if you see the time scale. Moreover, in the past, measureless asamkhya kalpas ago, there across, so in the word, the Buddha is named Pure Lotus Eyes Tathagata. The lifespan of that Buddha is 40 kalpas. Well, the time is shorter than the previous Buddha. So during the age of that of the semblance Dharma. So what is that? So semblance Dharma uh, is one stage of the Dharma. And there are basically three stages of dharmas. So the first stage is what we call the right dharma. Is when there are people practicing the Buddha's teachings, and they are trying to teaching other people, helping other people, and those teachings are the mainstream, or what we call as a fashion of the entire world. That is the time when we call that is the right dharma. And the semblance dharma is when those dharmas are kind of twisted, and this teaching by the Buddha is not being conducted well. It's getting like degenerated later on. So that's the time we call it semblance Dharma. And the final stage is what we call as the decline of Dharma. So this is the time when the Dharma is straight, like it is declining straightly as the name indicates. So people are not practicing Dharma anymore, and people are looking for like other things to improve their own like wholesome karmas, or to say they are looking for their own ways of doing things. That is the time when we call this decline of Dharma. So people are not practicing Dharma anymore because Dharma is there's no separation between people, and they are sharing the same way. That's the thing is called Dharma. But if people are focusing on themselves, then that is not Dharma. So that is why it is called the decline of Dharma. But the Dharma is still there. There's still a few people are practicing the same way as the Buddha is teaching, but just the amount is significantly declined. And then now this is the second stage, is what we call semblance Dharma. So there was an Arhat who guided living beings across many means of merit, teaching and transforming them in sequence. And there's one day, he sees a woman and named Bright Eye, and who made a food offering to him. And the Arhat is asking, so what is your wish? And oh, venerable one, in the days after my mother's death, I performed the meritorious deed for her rescue. But I do not know in what realm my mother has been reborn. So, as we know, this woman trusts the transformation between lives in like across different realms, and Arhan is trying to help her out. So by meditation, the Arhan is trying to see what's going on, and definitely he sees something bad. He saw something bad over there, and he asked, what action did your mother do when she was alive? She is now undergoing extremely great suffering in the lower realm. So lower realm refers to like animals, like hungry ghosts, and the hell. So those three realms are what we refer to a lower realm. And upper realm is the uh heaven and the human. So those two realms are what we call as the upper realm, because the thing is, in the upper realm, people are able to practice, and in the lower realm, people are just suffering all the time. They have no way to practice. So the woman is trying to answer that question. What did her mother did? So she says, my mother had a habit of only like eating fish, turtles, and their children So the fish children and turtle children, as she mentioned. So of the fish and turtle that she had eaten, yes, she had most often consumed their eggs, fried or boiled, and she would indulge in eating them. Well, that's pretty undesired. So I would say like all of these lives to be thousands of myriad and many times over. So like eating like much amount of them. So the woman is asking, "Oh, venerable one, please take pity. How can she be safe? So you may with sincere resolve recollect your lotus eye Tathagata." So this is the solution the Arahant is talking about. Just to catch up with what we are going or what we are doing now. We're discussing chapter 4, and it just this chapter is about the kalamic result of this word, and we call it Jambodeva. Yes, just to remind you the word. So this is the word that we live in is Jambodeva. Yes, and we're discussing like what's the thing that we need to do to improve our well-being in this world. Yes. Thank you. Okay, great. And there's a previous story that we've talking about, and I will remind you later on, like what's that story. And for this story, basically, there's a woman coming to Arhan, and she's trying to ask where her mother was born because her mother has conducted unwholesome actions or unwholesome karmas before, like killing fishes, turtles, and eating their eggs, like either fried or boiled. That leads to like the karma of like going to the lower realm or the hell, the hungry ghost or animal. Those three realms are what we refer to the lower realms. So now the woman is asking the Arahant, is there any way to help her mother out? Because her mother is already there in the lower realm. So she asked, so the Arahant giving is trying to helping her out. And the thing is, you may with sincere resolve recollect pure lotus eye Tathagata. So this is the Tathagata that manifests at that word. And Arhan is saying, if you like think of the Tathagata's name all the time, like pure lotus eyes Tathagata, thinking of the name over and over again, pure lotus eye Tathagata and pure lotus eye Tathagata all the time, that will help you out. And also try to sculpture and paint his image. So both living and the deceased will reap the result. So the reap the result is just get rid of all those unwholesome karmas. So the woman is pretty happy because yes, that's a solution. Thank you so much, oh venerable one. After hearing this, Bright Eye, so the woman is called Bright Eyes, immediately gave her everything she loved to have the image of the Buddha painted right away. And furthermore, with revered mind, and she wept sorrowfully, gazed upon it, and made obeisance to him, to the figure of like the pure eyes Tathagata. No, not pure eyes, it's pure lotus eyes. Yes, pure lotus eyes Tathagata. So during the time when the woman like fell into sleep, pure lotus eye Tathagata manifest in her dream, saying, before long, your mother will be reborn in your household, and she will speak as soon as she felt like as soon as she felt angry and hungry and cold. And suddenly, there's there's something happened.
Thunder, lightning.
Yeah, under lightning, something happened. Like the environment just suddenly changed, and okay, we see there's a servant calling her up, and the maid servant in her household like born a child at the moment, so who spoke like within 3 days of birth. And now the woman comes and said, you are finally here, child. I'm your mother. in the cycle of birth and death through karmic conditions of undergoes the result of one's actions, like one will result, like will suffer from the actions by oneself, basically. And Tathagata's word are really true, the woman is thinking. So the so her mother continuously like continue her speech saying, I have long dwelled in darkness since parting from you. Again and again like I agonized in the great house, like burned in the house. It was through the strength of your merit that I was finally able to be reborn. But as a person of the lower class, and my lifespan will be short. At the end of 30 years, so basically her lifespan is 30 years, I'm falling into the lower realm again. You must quickly find a way to help relieve me from those sufferings. Okay, so her mother speaks, and the woman knows that is true. This is truly her mother. And she realized that since you are really my mother, you should know what's your past wrongdoing and what action did you do like cause you go to the lower realm. Her mother says, killing, reliving, I was undergoing the ribbon effect of these two actions to deliver me from difficulties. If it were not for the merit that you can, like you have cultivated, my karma would be such that I still could not have been released. So what took you? So what took place to the ribbon effect, like in the house? And the servant says, I can, so I cannot bear speaking of those torments. So it is too tortured for her to speak of it. It's like even in 100,000 years, I could not be able to describe them all. Well, that's a lot. So she realized, yeah, that is not desired. So she made the vow, may my mother be forever released from the hells. At the end of 13 years, may she be finished with her heavy offenses and not going through the lower realm again. And her mother was like, child, you must save your mother. Okay. This is the description what's going on there. Okay. It's pretty hot, it's pretty hurt, it's pretty undesired cases. So the woman realized that that's the power of the Tathagata. She quickly go go to the place. So go before the Tathagata and say, today I vow in front of the image of pure lotus eyes Tathagata. I vow that from this day forth, throughout hundreds of thousands of millions of future kalpas, in all worlds, where there are hells, where there are realm like three lower realms, I will rescue all wrongdoing suffering beings, causing them to live the lower realms of hells, animals, and hungry ghosts. Yes, those are the three lower realms. So only when the beings who undergo the ripping effect of wrongdoing have all become Buddhas will I myself attain perfect awakening, or to say the Buddha. So bright eyes, you have great kindness and compassion. It is excellent that you can make such a great vow for your mother. I see that after your mother passes on from the present ribbon effect at 13 years of life, she will be reborn as a Brahman with lifespan of 100 years. After that ribbon effect is over, she will be reborn in the land of no sorrow, with lifespan of incalculable kalpas. Later, she will attain Buddhahood, and far and wide she will guide humans and devas. Devas are the like heavenly beings, as numerous as the sand, as sand grains in the Ganges River, to the other shore. So this is a story that the Buddha is trying to tell. What's the vow the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva make before that makes him so powerful, and and all the Buddhas is trying to praise them and cannot be praising the Bodhisattva fully because of all those vows he's making. So there's a conclusion over there. So concentration, reaction, mastery, king, Bodhisattva, that's the Bodhisattva is asking the question. So why is so what vows are Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is making him so powerful? So the Arhat who guide bright eyes across by means of merit, then is now inexhaustible intention Bodhisattva. This is one Bodhisattva. And the bright eyes, so the woman, the bright eyes mother is now liberation Bodhisattva, another Bodhisattva. And finally, as we know, the bright eyes woman is Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. So throughout many long kalpas past, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has been so kind and compassionate that he has made as many vows as grains of sand in the Ganges River, so guide living beings to the other shore. And in the future, now the Buddha is trying to make it in conclusion. If there are men and women who do not practice good deeds, but do evil, who do not believe in cause and effect, that's one thing, and seek forcefulhood, especially for seeking, speak of forcefulhood about the triple gem that we mentioned before, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sanghas, or the monks, and also engaging in sexual misconduct, using harsh words, like those undesired words, engaging in divisive speaking, like the word talking one side, talking about some people's bad and talking about some people's bad in different kind of people's faces that is not desired, and also slander the Mahayana or slander the Buddha's teachings. So these are the things that we don't want to conduct, because that is the thing that will cause beings fall into the lower realms. But however, because we see that all the time, if they met a virtuous friend, like people are practicing the Buddha's teachings, that they can take refuge. So basically, if they heard of the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, if we introduce the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's name to them, they will be able to obtain release from those ribbon effects and to be experienced in the three lower realms, like what the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva did before, thinking of the lotus eye, here. So basically, he's thinking of she is thinking of the pure lotus eye Tathagata, as Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva was once the Brahman woman at the time. So in that sense, we can help all those beings who have already conduct unwholesome karmas. So if people are able to revere and take refuge in him, the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, and the praises and make offering, incense, flower, so just taking all the things that is expensive nowadays, just give them over there and make offering to the Bodhisattva, that will be the thing that we want to help the people that are already suffering. So they will be reborn in various heavens. So there are many kind of heavens. In the future, we will discuss what is over there. And they will enjoy hundreds, thousands of myriads of millions of kalpas of joyful life in the future. And when their heavenly merit is exhausted, and they will still go back and becoming kings in the world of humans. So that is even like by a simple praising, simple offerings. That is the thing that the wholesome karma that they will receive if they actually do the things that we described before. And they will be able to remember the cause and effect of consequences of events of their previous lives. So this is pretty simple and easy to do. So just make offerings all the time to the Buddhas and to the Bodhisattvas. Then the wholesome karma is coming. So the Buddha is answering the concentration mastery king Bodhisattva. So Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has such power of inconceivable, great, awesome spiritual penetration. So to widely benefit living beings. Thus, so all of you should remember this sutra, the original vows of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva Sutra. It is important, and expound and propagate it and make it far and wide available to other people. So the concentration master King Bodhisattva says, okay, do not be concerned, the Buddha. Throughout the power of the Buddha, and also definitely by the Bodhisattva himself, with thousands of myriads of millions of Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, will certainly be able to expound this sutra widely throughout Jambadipa to benefit living beings. Okay, so we shall not be concerned because there are Bodhisattvas trying to do that. Okay, after that, he joined his palms in respect and make obeisance and withdraw. So this is basically typically an action that at that time when Buddha is like after the question has done, those bodhisattvas will join their palms in respect and like look upon the Buddha, gaze upon the Buddha in respect, and then withdraw. So this shows the respect and showing the power of the Buddha. This is a typical ending. And if you see this, this means the question is end here. And also, it typically means there's another question is coming up because the Buddha is not like ending this entire chapter by showing something. Because if a question is end, the Buddha will typically make something called gatha. It's a verse that Buddha will try to summarize the entire thing and making people realize, okay, this is the content that we just talked about to make it simple for people to remember. So yes. Okay, so since this story is over, and I know this is a lot, so I will try to make that short conclusion. So the Buddha, so the initial question by the concentration mastery King Bodhisattva is here. Just to remind everybody here. So what vows has Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva made during this many kalpas? And now he was able to be praised by all those different kind of word-honored one. So there are a lot of Buddhas out there trying to praise the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. So the Buddha mainly talks about the vows through two stories. The first story is like the Buddha is comparing two kings. One kings who make the vow trying to become the Buddha earlier to help other beings. He's now becoming the Buddha, but the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva who make the vow trying to like liberate all the beings and make all of them become the Buddha. And afterward, he will become the Buddha. So this is the vow that making the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva special and powerful, having that kind of wisdom to help all the beings out. And the second story is what we just finished. It's during the time when the pure lotus eye Tathagata and the woman bright eyes is asking the Arahant, like how can she help her mother out because of
Is Arhan like a special kind of monk?
yeah, that's a good question. So Arahant is in the sense of practicing, there are four stages. Arahant is the last stage. It's when they get rid of all those sufferings.
So enlightenment.
Yeah, basically they've already reached the stage of no sufferings. But there are still, like as we mentioned,
practicing.
Yeah, they're still practicing because they have the karmas over there. They only get rid of suffering themselves, but they still need to get rid of all those bad habits. Right. But they're already really powerful. So Bright Eyes, as she saw this Arhan, she's able to get the result, saying, if you gaze upon the Tathagata and make offering and gaze upon the Tathagata and make all those sculptures, drawings, you will be able to see the result. So don't kill beings and don't try to eat other people because of you are really happy. So don't do that. That's basically what this this story is talking about. And finally, definitely the vow is also important because she was benefited from the question, from the question that she asked about the Arhat and also the power of the pure lotus eyes Tathagata. She make the vow, and she's able to have that power. So yes, that's the key conclusion. Well, this is one question, and later on, I'm not sure if you are familiar with there are 4 heavenly kings across the world. I'm not sure if that's still popular now, but yeah, I will introduce that. So those those 4 Deva kings, as the book is talking about, or heavenly kings, they're living in the heaven in the eastern and so in the eastern part and the southern part, the western part and northern part. So they are asking, the word on one. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has made such great vows throughout many long kalpas past. So as of now, living beings have not all been guided across. How is it that he makes further immerse vows again? So yes, this is a continuous question. Like, because we already see like the time scale that Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva making the vow, like saying, it's like immeasurable Nayutas of millions of hundreds of thousand years ago, and he make the vows, like saying, okay, in the future world, like hundreds and thousands and years, and kalpas, like later on, I will help other beings. But compare that time scale is much shorter than time scale that he's trying to help other beings. So those 4 heavenly kings, they're pretty clever. They realize, okay, there's a difference between the time scale. So there's definitely like the repeated vows coming up again and again. So they realize that and asking the Buddha. So they want the Buddha to explain what kind of vows are they asking? So others. Okay. So did the Bodhisattva make? So yeah, the Buddha is praising. Wow, excellent. Great. That's a great question. Good for you to catch that. It is important. And then this is for the broad benefit of you as well as the devas and humans. So it is good for you for all of the heavenly beings and all for all the peoples in the present and the future. I will speak of what are those vows that helping all the beings like they are alive, them getting birth and death in the Jambadivar in this Saha world. Saha world is the world that we live in. So what are the things over there that the Bodhisattva is trying to teach? So by ways of skillful means, for many long kalpas, past and up to the present, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has guiding living beings across to liberation. And nevertheless, she has not yet completed all of the vows. Yes. So he has great kindness and compassion for wrongdoing sufferings beings in this world. So he further sings, like, remember there's a analogy that we mentioned before, like all the beings are like fishes under the water, and they are suffering from all those net. Those net are the sufferings or the things that we are thinking of as bad or the unwholesome karmas. They're suffering from it, although they can get out, but it's hard for them to just directly jumping out of those nets. So the Buddha is talking about that now, like seeing all those measurable, unmeasureless kalpa in the future, those cause and effects, those fishes will still be confined in this net. So he makes the profound vows again and again. So in this world, he tried to teach all those beings by many, many, many skillful means. So now comes to the part, it is really interesting. So to those who kill, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva would say, do not kill. Such action will lead to misfortune and short lifespan. This is one. So to those who steal or rob, he would say, like, such action will lead to poverty and wretched suffering. This is 2. So to those who engage in sexual misconduct, he would say that such action will lead to rebirth and to like pigeons, like ducks, all those kind of beings that can fly over the world, like small birds, things like that. And the fourth one is, to those who use harsh speech, he would say such action would lead to quarrels and fight in one's family. Yeah. And I don't understand what's going on here, but okay. This is probably one story the author is trying to manifest that this is true. Okay, let's see. That woman is like in don't say another word. Such action would lead to being harmless and having a cankerous mouth. Basically, it's a mouth without the tongue. Okay, so in word, it's just to make it simple. So if you saying the bad things about other people, you will not have a healthy mouth. And to those who are angry and hateful, he would say, don't be angry and hateful. Such action will lead to being ugly, deformed, or crippled. So that's
In
the
front
result.
of Tibetan monasteries, they draw like a whole mural, and sometimes they show like if you do this, then like you'll be boiled in oil. So like it's very my aunt, she used to like say like tell us all the stories that is happening on the murals. It was very like it's kind of like that. Like
Kind of
if
like
you
that.
if you do this bad, then this happens.
Yeah. That's pretty popular. I think that is pretty good if people can like talk about stories and sharing good thoughts. That's pretty nice. And yes, now continues. So to those who are misery, he would say, don't be staging and or misery because such action will lead to not obtaining what one seeks. So if you are like greedy all the time, you will not get the thing that you want because yes, that's just how those cause and effect works. So to those who are immoderate in consuming food and drink, like always eating, he would say to be moderate. Otherwise, such action will lead to hunger, thirst, and throat diseases. I think that's pretty popular. And nowadays, throat diseases and thirst and hunger like happens all the time. So that's the result of having too much food. So to those who are indulging hunting, and the Bodhisattva would say, such action would lead to derangement from terror and then loss of life. So it's like he will be pretty fearful before the person died. When the hunters like before the hunter died. That's the case. And then to those who are contrary and perverse to their own parents, he would say, they will suffering from like from like natural disasters. So the original word in Chinese is like they will be killed directly by the sky or by the ground. It's like either earthquakes or it's like heavy rains, something like that will cause them to death. And that's the reason if they are not being patient with their parents or contrary to their parents all the time. And to those who set fire to mountains and forests, such action will go back to them again. So I think everybody knows what's that. Like forest fires. It comes up here, right? In this country. So it's pretty obvious. And to those who are cruel parents or like hitting all those children's like all the time, such action will lead to like being like so they will become their children's parent, their children's sons or like daughters in the future, and they will be hit by their children and daughters. So this is another thing. And then to those who net or trap young animals, he would in the future, so in the future, their children will also be trapped by other people because that's what they did. They're trying to catch so they're trying to catch other people's children. And to those who slandered the triple gem, so he would like be deaf or being blind or being mute in the future because they slandered the triple gem. And to those well, this one is so to those who are like slandered the Dharma, they will not be able to go to the upper realms, like to being human or being heavenly beings, because they slandered the Dharma. Dharma is the thing that can help people stay as the stage as people. So remember that we talked about 10 wholesome karma before, like no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct until like no forceful speech and no greedy and no angry and no like slander of the triple term, those kind of things, like 10 wholesome actions that will help them keeping the stage of being a human, not going to the lower realm, becoming animals or becoming in the hell. In that stage, you will not be able to speak of anything because that's how the karma works. And to those who defile those living the holy life, or who make malicious accusations against the monastics. So in this case, they will becoming animal for a long time. Yes, as we've discussed. So to those who burn, behead, chop, and harm living beings, and they will do this, they will be repaid in the same way in the future, in the samsara. So it's similar. And to those who violate the rules of eating, like eating after 2 p.m., I think that's the rule in the monk. They will feel hungry and fall into the hungry ghost realms. And that's one of the reasons that I don't eat after 2 p.m. So just to let you know. That's kind of the reason because it's similar to the thing that we mentioned before. If you eat too much, you will suffer from hunger, thirst, and throat diseases. Yeah, and many others, like especially for the stomach and the what's the word for that? Yeah, I don't remember the word, but it is something over there in the stomach.
Stomach ulcer?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. The cancer related to that area is because of consuming too much food. So yes, so I sincerely like trying to help other people in case like saying just don't eat too much. If you want to eat, just eat a little, eat a little. Don't eat too much because that's really harmful. And to those who unreasonably destroy things and deplete resources of the triple germ, I think they missed something. Of the triple germ, don't deplete resources of triple germ. Such action will lead to insufficient and lack 1/6 in the future because they are trying to consume the wholesome actions of other people because the resources of triple gem like the Buddha or those temples are all built up by people's like good deed, by people's like healthy mind. So if you depleted all those resources, you are trying to depleted people's good wills. So don't do that. So to those who are conceited and arrogant, okay, who are being always arrogant, he will say that those actions will lead to being lowly and servile. So if you're being too arrogant, people will not care about you anymore. It's basically what this is talking about. Don't be too arrogant, trying to helping other people. And to those divisive, like doing divisive speeches, and such action will lead to having the tongue like no tongue or being 100 tongues because they're trying to do divisive speeches, like making all the people separate. No, don't do that. And to those who hold false views, like as we've mentioned before, like slandering, like saying bad things about the Buddha. Those things will cause them to rebirth in the borderlands. So borderlands is like over the far area where like people are not wisdomful and people are like being boring all the time. They are not able to thinking about anything. They just sit there, eat and sleep all the time. Like that kind of thing is what we refer to borderlines. So that is all. Well, that's a lot. So those are the karma that the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva will use to help to transform all of those unwholesome karmas into wholesome karmas. So this is what happens in the Jambudvipa, in the Saha world, and those living beings are undergo ripple effects. So the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva see that and don't want to do that. Therefore, the Buddha is telling those four heavenly kings, because they're asking the question, you should protect people and protect their countries. Don't allow living beings to be deluded by these many kinds of karma. So don't let people fall into those karmas. Just by the way Ksitigarbha is describing from the beginning, why you should not kill is because that will shorten your lifespan. Like why shall you continue? Why shall you not stealing from people? Is because in that will lead you to poverty, as we've mentioned before. So it's like going on and on. So you don't want to do sexual misconduct because that will lead to the life of birds. You're getting into that kind of trouble all the time, and do not eat too much. Others, so do not slander the triple germ. So after hearing all of that, the four Deva kings or the four heavenly kings wept and sighed sorrowfully, joined in their poem and withdraw. Okay, so this is a typical ending, as I've mentioned before. They're pretty impressed. I'm also impressed after again and again reading this sutra. This is really profound. So the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva has all those kind of skillful meanings to helping beings jumping out of their original cause and effect. Yes, and this is what this chapter is about. So it's like the entire description of what's going on in this world.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Like, why are they saying that animals are in like the lower realm?
Yeah, it's a good question. So animals, why we talking about animals are in the lower realms is because they are not able to think. They are not able to thinking about the Buddha's teachings. Oh, like if you are becoming a pig, if you're becoming a cow, like yes, it's okay. You were still living there and feeling comfortable. Like nowadays, people like
Have
taking
pets.
have pets like dogs and cats. They still live there as part of the family, but they are not able to thinking about like, okay, what is triple germ? You talking about them. Okay, triple germ. What is that? I don't care. I just want some food. So yeah, that's why we call it the lower realm. Yeah, because they are not able to think. Well, like in animal realms, there are still some animals that are able to think. Well, I have to correct my speech to make it full. Like the dragons and the nagas. So dragons are like snake-like beings. So
No,
it's
Nagas are like snake-like beings. Nagas are snake.
Yeah. So Naga is also snake-like beings. So there are a slight difference between them. Nagas is mostly like living there in the heaven, and dragons are living there in the sea, typically. So those are the two animals that Buddha has mentioned about. They're able to listen, but the thing is, they are kind of suffering from their animal thinking. So they're always eating and they have long lifespan, but it's hard for them to practice because it's animal.
Yeah, they don't think in the same way that humans.
Yeah, they don't live in the same way like humans or the heavenly beings thinking. So it's hard for the Buddha to teach them. And yeah, that's all. Yeah, this is a long chapter. I hope everybody enjoys it.
Did you post